So, welcome everybody to Alumni Takeover Week. My name is Kaylee Ryan, and I'm a career counselor here in the St. Joe's Career Center. Throughout the week, we've invited alumni to join us for conversations about their careers to give insight into their different career paths and industries and advice on how to enter into the working world and thrive in whatever field they're interested in. Our first guest today and our guest kicking off our Alumni Takeover Week is Brigette Pheloung. It is my pleasure to introduce Brigette, a talented social media content creator and the driving force behind Acquired Style LLC. She's a proud St. Joe's University graduate with a degree in marketing. Brigette has built a very impressive career both in e-commerce and digital marketing. She has experience working at Bergdorf Goodman, Onya, and Barney's New York. And with over 5 years of expertise in content creation, she continues to make an impact in the fashion and lifestyle space. So please join me in welcoming Brigette. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for the intro. I'm so excited to be speaking to you guys today. Like Kaylee said, I am a content creator, influencer, whatever you want to call me. And I create content in the lifestyle, fashion, beauty space to the following that I have built over the past, like, I guess almost over 5 years now. And yeah, I like every day looks different depending on like what I have going on, but it's really just truly never a dull moment.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I was going to ask, like, content creator or influencer, like, do people have a preference when it comes to that term? Or it's like, no.
Yeah, I feel like it depends on the person. I really don't care. I'm like
Yeah.
proud to do any of it. So whatever you want to call it. I feel like content creator sounds like better in a way because it's like, I don't know, what even is an influencer? I don't know if it's in the dictionary.
Yeah, true. Okay. So obviously your role as a content creator probably has so many different pieces to it. But if you were to describe like your current role, like if it had a job description, like your core responsibilities, and I know you said every day looks different, but like maybe how you try to really organize your day or your week so you're like checking off certain tasks that you need to.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of core responsibilities, like my job is to make content around my life and to make content for my followers and also to make content around marketing for other brands. Like they'll pay me to market their products, things, services, whatever it may be. So, my day and week will be structured and dependent on kind of like what I have that week, like for deadlines or what kind of content I want to put out for myself. A lot of my job, surprisingly, this was surprising to me before I became a content creator, was how much travel there is. So I'm traveling like 50% of the year, which is insane. And when I'm not traveling with these brands, I'm also going to activations, dinners, events around New York, which is where I'm based. So all of that will depend on really just like the structure of my day or my week.
Yeah. So you're finding that balance between like your personal brand and what you're putting out, but also the partnerships and brands that you're working with
Yeah.
too. And I didn't realize either that you travel so much. So that's probably very cool, but also tiring, I could
Yeah.
imagine. Um, so before your content creation started, like looking back on your LinkedIn and while you were here at St. Joe's, you had internships and even your roles right after graduation were in fashion and e-commerce. Can you tell us a little bit more about those experiences for you? And if you can remember how you landed your first ever internship in fashion.
Yeah, of course I remember. So I knew early on that I wanted to work in fashion, and you can't just like be an attractive candidate at any job really, for just like going to school with no real work experience. Like you need to build your resume. And so I was like determined to have like a stacked resume by the time I graduated so I could be a very attractive candidate to a job in fashion. And so I worked really hard to get internships. My first internship, however, is, it's a bit harder because I didn't have a resume. Like I didn't have any experience. I was like a camp counselor and a babysitter. So it's not, the easiest, but I was eager to get my foot in the door. I was just like asking anyone if anyone knew anyone who wanted to hire someone for a summer intern in fashion. Like I didn't care what I was doing. And I ended up getting a internship, like basically where my core responsibility was to like steam men's shirts in a showroom. But like I didn't care. I was just so happy that I had something to build a resume off of. And from there, I was able to be more targeted the next time around. When it came my
Mhm.
sophomore year summer, I had a resume. So I could be more specific with what I wanted to do, and then so on and so forth. And I ended up, graduating college with a pretty good resume. I had like 5 internships. I worked like throughout every summer and also throughout the year as well. And yeah, all of those experiences definitely are like the reason why I was able to get a full-time job in luxury fashion when I graduated.
Yeah. And then can you tell us a little bit about those two or those jobs after graduation, like your first full-time position, what you were really doing?
So I worked at Bergdorf Goodman, which is a luxury department store. It's like one of the biggest ones in the world. And I was doing e-commerce. And the reason why I chose e-com specifically was because that was one of my most recent internships. That was the role that I was preparing for like a full-time role. So I was really familiar with like what e-com looked like in the luxury fashion space. So it just kind of like made sense that that would be my first full-time role because I had direct experience. And yeah, it was cool to just be like submerged within the luxury fashion world and like what that looked like. And it was really fun. I'm really happy that I did it.
Yeah, it sounds very fun. And I love how you brought up just like building your resume and being determined while you were here to really just get internships, get that experience so that, you can have that resume for when you graduate. If you had to give advice to students now about their internships, what would you say is really valuable in an internship that can help them prepare them for the job market? You have your experience specifically in fashion, but it could be for any internship in general, like what's really going to set them up for success post grad.
I think that the more you know what you want to do and finding experience that kind of suits and prepares you for that is like so beneficial. Like, for example, if you think you want to be in like content creation, for example, but you don't know, like the best thing to do would be to get an internship in marketing, more specifically social media marketing. Like every business and company has a social media team, not just like one person, they have a team now. And so like if you wanted to get valuable real life experience, then I would suggest looking in those areas, especially because it's probably, you can absorb so much information and take that and do whatever you want with it, whether it be to continue working that job, or maybe you do it on your own and take valuable experience you learned from that internship and put it into your own content creation. So yeah, I think just like finding valuable experience to what your interests are is important.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And I think on the same, side of that is like you also could learn what you don't enjoy doing as
Yeah,
much.
for
And
sure.
that's just as important because in the moment it might feel like I just did this whole internship and it's not what I was hoping for. Like it's a bummer, but now and you can pivot and tailor your experience moving forward. Um,
Nothing is a waste.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly. So, when did you start creating content? Like, when was your first kind of dabble into it?
So I started taking content creation like seriously and was consistent with it around 2020. And
Okay.
I was consistent with it. And then once I realized I did it alongside my full-time job for like a year and a half. And then once I realized like just how powerful of a job it was and how successful I was at it. And most importantly, how much fun I was having doing it while making money.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, this can be a job on its own. Like, I don't need to, work my full-time job anymore as well. So,
Yeah. And what did that like decision look like for you? Like, how do you move from just making it on the side alongside your full-time job to like, this is what I'm going to do full-time now? What is the process, of making that happen look like?
well, it's definitely a risk. And it was a risk when I did it, but I was kind of like, if not now, then when? I'm young. And if it doesn't work out, I can just get another job. And I think that it looks like exactly how you would imagine. One day you leave your job and the next you wake up and you're like, whoa, I'm like my own boss now. Like what can I do? Like what's my day gonna look like? You're just like you're in charge of your own day. And
Yeah.
that's really what it looks like.
Yeah. And there's like a lot of accountability with that though, holding yourself to like the
Totally.
standard of, I have to make this work for myself because I left my full-time job and now it's just me. Um, so can you walk us through like your content creation process from idea to execution and, how you kind of come up with your ideas to like stay fresh? Like obviously content creation is huge now, so there's a lot of people who are coming into the space, like how you kind of keep yourself going with new ideas.
Yeah, I think that so I've been doing it for a while now and I know, like I've done all the trial and error and I know what works for me and what doesn't, but I think just I like to think of it as kind of like an extension of my own life. So whatever I'm doing in a day or a week, I like to, try to make content out of that. And I think utilizing your environment to inspire you is like so important and where you can find the most success, like whether it be romanticizing your making your coffee or romanticizing your work week or vlogging a weekend trip. That's like the most exciting thing you'll do in months. Like whatever it is, like that is just like the best way to naturally make content. I also think like, being on top of trends and all of that is also very important because you don't want to, miss out on trends and everything like that as well.
Yeah. And I would imagine, that's a little bit different than if you're creating content for like a brand. Do they give you specific things that they want you to highlight in your videos and the content that you're putting out?
Yeah. So obviously making content for brands versus making it for your own personal self and for your own content is going to look, very different because they have very specific briefs and guidelines and deadlines that they want you to meet and use when creating your content. So having to keep all of that in mind while also keeping your audience in mind is the perfect recipe for success. Um, but they also, they picked you for a reason to make that content. So they want you to like give your own flair and like make it you and your audience best. But yeah, it's just
Mm-hmm.
like the perfect combination of keeping all of that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you kind of walked me into my next question, which is like understanding your audience. So can you talk about, how you go about understanding your target audience, but then also how you ensure that you're making content that reflects diversity within that audience, that like everyone might not be the same.
Yeah, no, that's actually such a good question because it's so important. Like, you never want to stay stagnant in life or your career, or in this case, with your content. And, you always want to grow. And, like, how do you grow? You go viral or like you try to reach a new audience with like a new video idea. And I think that creating content with like virality in mind, but also continuing to create content to nurture your current audience is truly the best way to get success in this industry. So that way you're constantly growing, but you're also keeping the audience who loves you and knows you in mind with like everything you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And I'm sure just with how much you've grown over the last couple of years, you've just seen that variability in like the audience and different people who are consuming your content, like ages and things like that. So that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so this is a little bit of a different like type of question in terms of the content creation, but can you talk a little bit about um, interviewing and networking tips that helped you early on in your career? So maybe back when you were in school and looking for your internships, but then when you found your first jobs out of college.
I think that the best career advice I ever got was from my dad, who said, network with everyone and make valuable connections because you never know how it's going to benefit you somewhere down the line. And I think that applies and like stays true to everyone in every job and every career because like I said, I got my first internship basically through connections because I was asking everyone everywhere, hi, who wants to hire me? And that's like the only reason why I got my first job and or my first internship. And it stays true with being a content creator. When it was 2020 and I was a new influencer in the space, I had like 10K followers. No one knew me. I didn't know anyone. And it was also just COVID. So there was a lot of new people because that was when, a lot of new people decided to become influencers.
Mhm.
And going to every event that I was invited to, every activation, every meeting, and like making connections with not only other influencers, but brands and brand partners is like part of the reason why I feel like I had so much success early on because having creator friends in the space who are also already well established can go very far. And also showing brands that you're more than an online presence and that you are, a great person who is good outside of, your digital footprint can also go very far. And so these things are really, truly so valuable, like I said, in every career, whether it be being a content creator or being in finance or whatever it is. Like it truly is like the best advice and will take you like further than you think.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's something that we really emphasize for the students here, like when we're working with them, no matter what path that they're considering, networking, networking, networking.
Yeah.
And
I remember the career fair days.
yeah,
I was
yep,
like, hi, can I have your card? To
yes.
everyone.
Exactly, exactly. And, for some students, they are like, oh, I have to reach out, to someone I don't know, or you want me to like message people on LinkedIn or reach out or email. And we're like,
Yeah,
absolutely 100%. Like it might feel weird in the moment and at the time, but like the worst that they're gonna say is, I can't help you or no, and that's okay. You just move on and you keep asking people.
exactly.
It'll come full circle and you'll meet the person who's able to, support you and help you get to where you need to go. So,
Exactly.
and obviously very relevant for you, like you said, with your content creation, just networking with other creators and brands and kind of keeping your presence out there. Um, so what would you say has surprised you the most about being a content creator?
Probably that, well, with this job specifically, you only see really like the glitz and the glam of it all. You see like the fun stuff and you're always consuming like this happy, exciting content. And like and it's very fun. It's very exciting. But like at the end of the day, you are your own boss. So you are putting out what you are getting in, you're putting out what you're getting in. Wait, you're putting, you're, what I'm trying to say. Like
Yes.
you're getting what you put into it. You're
Right.
getting out of it what you put into it. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's a
And
method.
while you are your own boss and like you're in control, you have brand deadlines to meet and specifics they want you to include. And like if you fail to do that or you slack off or you're unorganized, like someone else will come in who's better. Like that's just the name of the game. It's a competitive industry. And like if you aren't giving it your all, then you're not going to be successful. So I think it's just like there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's very fun work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important what you highlighted, like the consumers on the other side of it don't see majority of the work.
Yeah.
They see the 30-second, 60-second TikToks, the reels, whatever platform, someone uses, and like the happy stuff and the fun stuff. But like how much work and editing and really making sure that the content you're putting out is highlighting that it
Yeah.
takes a lot.
Yeah.
Um, would you say that that has been like your biggest challenge, or is there something else? Is it like being just a social media, having a presence online? I know it can be difficult to, be constantly on, having to be on social media and things like that. Like, what would you say is the biggest challenge of the content creation?
When this is your job and you put yourself online, like you subject yourself to criticism and me- bullies. Like it's the name of the game, unfortunately. And I feel like that is probably the biggest struggle that a lot of people go through, is that like bullying is like a real thing online because people like to, like hide behind their keyboards and like I don't know, it's just you have to be the bigger person and the better person and realize that like those aren't your followers anyway, so like just not to take it too seriously. But yeah, I think that's definitely like a challenge of
Mhm.
a lot of creators that they go through.
Yeah.
But
And
this
no
is their
one
job.
no one like prepares you for that. Like
Yeah,
there's no
no,
way to really
yeah,
be prepared for that to happen and how you respond and how you move forward. But
yeah,
it sounds like just keeping like your followers at the center of it and like knowing why you do what you do and keeping that forefront is the most important thing.
exactly.
Um, so what is one thing that you wish someone had told you about post grad life, navigating that while you were in school?
Post grad life and navigating while that was in school. I wish someone told me not to put so much pressure on myself. Like it goes by so fast, and basically college is like one big like networking session in a way, and like to utilize that more. And like don't be afraid to utilize your professors or like go to their career fair and just like do all the things that you have this special opportunity in front of you to do. And yeah, it just goes by so fast.
It does. Yeah, it does. I was just, like I said, I had a conversation with an alumni earlier this morning, and she said pretty much the exact same thing. She's like, you have such a great like opportunity at St. Joe's with like how many resources you have, the people.
Yep.
Um,
Totally.
don't compare yourself to other people's timelines. Like
Yes.
everyone is on their own journey. Like some people are going to have jobs, some people aren't. Some people are going to have 5 internships, some people aren't. So really just knowing what resources you have around you. And I like the way you framed it, like one big 4-year networking session, your
Yeah.
opportunity to meet as many people as you can and just make connections. Did you find that your professors were, helpful in that? Like what specific resources did you utilize while you were here for like networking, like classmates, career center, things like that?
I think a little bit like a little bit of everything. Like my
Mhm.
classmates, my professors, um the career fair taught me like how to I keep bringing it up, but it's like that was my first time that I was in front of like so many professionals who like were looking to hire people, and I was like it was almost like I was so shocked at first. I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't know how to act." But like that teaches you so
Yeah,
much. Every experience you go through, even if you don't handle it the best way, like you come out of it stronger. I think that a lot of the professors are always willing to help. That's why like St. Joe's was so great because, you kind of have smaller classes and like you're not just a number, like they care about you and they're willing to help. And if anything, just have like such great advice. And I definitely feel like I utilized that a lot throughout. I think that I do wish, I don't know if they've changed since, but I do wish there was like a little bit more fashion programs or like classes or something. Maybe I'll start my own at St. Joe's, but we need
yeah.
something for the girls who want to be in fashion.
Yeah. No, I think that's, it's important to recognize those things, like what did I seek a little bit more when I was here? In
Yeah,
addition to getting those great experiences, how can, different departments continue to like expand and grow to meet their different needs of like what people want to do? Because, content creation feels like it's been around for a while, but it really hasn't. Like I also graduated in 2019 and like I don't really remember being consumed in the same type of content I was then that I am
same.
now. And that was 5 years ago. So even just like considering that as a trend in like classes and things like that.
I completely agree.
So if students now, which is likely, like are interested in like content creation, like they look at the creators on TikTok and Instagram and are like, I want to do that. Like that's what I feel like I want to do. What experiences would you tell them to engage in to help them, learn more about it, find their niche, get started on like the whole journey?
I think that one of the most important things when tapping in right now, as it's like a little bit more of a competitive space than it once was, is just thinking about like, how can you provide some sort of value and like, why would someone want to follow you? Like, really think about that when you're thinking about what kind of content you want to create. Like, do you know how to perfect a blowout? That's like how I gained so many of my followers in the beginning. I didn't even know how to perfect a blowout, but I was like, this is how you perfect a salon blowout at home. And like, I just liked hair and like, I liked the way my hair looked, but
Yeah,
like, I didn't have any business giving all these people advice on how to do it, but like
right.
it worked. And then from there, I found like more niches that I enjoyed and tapped into, and like your followers will grow with you once they like, are introduced to you. So like, how do you want to be introduced to the space, and like how can you grab the attention of people while it's such a competitive space? So yeah, I think just like providing value is like a great way to tap in.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you
And
gotta like do the best coffee recipe. I don't know, it can be anything.
right,
Maybe you have like the best studying skills. Like
right.
there's room for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And that's so interesting too about content creation to me is that like the things that the people are doing, like blowouts and my
Yeah.
coffee and my morning routine, like it's stuff that everyone does every day, but there's something about that person's content that you're like, I want to watch that every single
Exactly.
day. Because I think like no one would want to watch me get ready.
You'd be
But
surprised.
yeah, you'd be surprised who would. So um, and I know you mentioned this earlier on too, but like maybe in a different setting, like getting internships, you would recommend maybe like social media for like a company or their content creation, like to get that like more professional experience side of content
Yeah.
creation.
Yeah, I think that that's so valuable to see like how they run their own socials and why, and also why they work with specific creators and like what they like about them. And like that's such valuable information to like absorb and take into your own content if you're interested in doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what would you say, like, if a student wants to like network with content creators? Like, do you find, like, I know you mentioned it's a competitive space, like content creators to be like, yeah, I'll have a conversation with you, like the same way that like working professionals are like, yeah, I'll offer the support and answer your questions, like to reach out to content creators. Would you encourage students to do that?
I mean, it can't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you never know like if they'll see it and if they'll want to respond, who knows, but it can't hurt. Like people always want to help out where they can. Like everyone started somewhere, and like it absolutely cannot hurt to like reach out to some of your favorite content creators and like see how they got started and like any tips they might have.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one last question that I have before we transition to the Q&A portion. And you've had pieces of advice that you've shared throughout this whole conversation, but like what like your leaving piece of advice for the students, like as they think about their next steps after graduation, like what would you tell them?
I would say that only you are in charge of your future and your path. And if you get a job and you feel like you're putting so much of your time into this job that isn't fulfilling you, then change it or do something about it because like we only have this one life to live. And like if you're not happy, then there's it's truly only up to you to change it and do something that you really love because like life's too short.
Yeah.
And it could take like it could take many years. Like it doesn't have to happen right away, but that would definitely be my takeaway advice.
Yeah, that's great. And I couldn't agree more. It's easy to get yourself in a position where, you might feel like you're not as inspired or, you're not as fulfilled or happy as you thought you would be. And there's always opportunity for you to move on and grow and change and, continue to just evolve because your career path is never straight. Like, I don't know if you thought in 2019 when you graduated that you would be sitting where you are right now.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely did not.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna transition into the Q&A portion. So anyone who's listening, if you have questions, please just drop them into the Q&A portion of the webinar. So first question I have for you is what has been your favorite brand trip that you've had the opportunity to attend and what was, the best part about it?
It's a hard question because
Mhm.
I feel like I've had the opportunity to go on so many and they're truly all amazing and each one is like unique.
Yeah.
I feel like I was recently in Australia with a brand, and I feel like that was really fun because it's not every day that you get flown like 24 hours to Australia and get to experience it there. And like, it was an Australian brand. So it was just like cool to see, like how they operate over there and like meet all these new people. And I also have family there. So like, I was able to see them. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that was very like uniquely fun and just
Yeah,
like a once in a lifetime kind of experience.
for sure. That's like a bucket list place, so that's
Yeah.
awesome. Um, so someone said, such a big fan of yours, Bridget, with so many trends and the changing landscape of social media. Um, is a lot of the content you make spur of the moment, planned in advance, or a combo of both?
I think that since I've been doing it for 5 years now, it's like I said, like there was a lot of trial and error of like what sticks and what works for me specifically and like my followers. But I feel like a lot of it, like I said, is like an extension of my life. So kind of basically making content out of like what my day or week is going to consist of. And, some of it's definitely planned out. Like I'll have some products that I want to like organically promote, not specifically brand deals that I'm like, oh, I need to do this week, or like I'm going to try to get these 3 things done before the end of the month. Like just like extra things on top of my already like just showing my life type of content, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I'm sure throughout your journey you've gotten to meet some cool people. Who has been the most inspiring person that you've met on your content creation journey?
Ooh, I've met so many like inspiring women. I feel like Hailey Bieber, I met her last year and that was like a really surreal experience. Like not only is she like an icon and amazing, but she's built this like insane brand
Yeah,
road that has just like gone above anyone's expectations of what people would think that she would have created. And like
right.
she's not just Justin Bieber's wife, like she's
Yeah,
like such an amazing businesswoman, has just like shown like skills that I hope to show someday. She's amazing.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
probably her.
That's a great answer. And I mean, super cool that you got to meet her, but also just like you said, like, yes, she is Justin Bieber's wife, but yeah, her brand is everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I can't scroll through anything without seeing one of her products used for
Yeah,
someone in the morning or when they're doing their makeup or something like that.
exactly.
Yeah. So this question is actually related to your major at St. Joe's. So you were marketing. Was there
I was
any
actually food marketing.
food marketing? Okay. So was there any ever a moment where you thought about changing your major?
Honestly, no, like I loved being a food marketing major, even though I knew that it wasn't going to be like my career. I wasn't going to go like work at Dietz and Watson, but like I loved the food marketing major. And I think, like I said, at the time, there was no like fashion major, there was no fashion class. But I think learning about a consumer is like in line with like if you want to work in fashion. Like it
Yeah,
actually is. There was so much like interactive real life experience that I got from each of those classes that were so like unique. And it was more than just like a marketing major. It was like really, really interesting. And yeah, I loved it.
that's great. And absolutely with the consumers, like knowing, who you're marketing to and whether the product is yourself or an actual product that you're selling, it all can be connected. So the next question is your campus involvement. There are actually two questions around on-campus involvement, campus organizations. Someone also wanted to say that your Tri Sigma sisters adore you and would love to hear about your time in Sigma.
Yes, I was in Tri-Sig and it was really fun. All of my friends were in it and we were just like really close and it was really a fun experience. And when I was a freshman, actually, not like I don't think anyone knows this, but I like didn't have the grades to rush and like I thought like my life was over. Like yes, Kim, people are dying. But like I was so upset and I was like, "Oh, this is like so embarrassing." And like whatever. But like I took that and instead of feeling sorry for myself, I just like took that and decided to change, like put that into being better and like work harder and being able to rush to starting next semester. And like just goes back to like you're in charge of your own path and to take that with you everywhere. But yeah, I
Yeah.
liked Sigma. And what else did I do? I was like an English minor. I think I did like I think I did stuff for the Hawk. I like can't remember
Mhm.
like aging myself, but I was like part of the Hawk for a bit. The
Okay.
Hawk paper. Is
Yeah.
that what it's called?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Those are the two main things.
No, that's great. And I mean, I think it's good to call out like in college, I feel like you have those experiences like you don't get the grades you need, or maybe you don't get into something that you really want to be a part of. And like at the time, it feels devastating and like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But the response is everything. Like, you know what, I'm not going to let this define me or change how my next 4 years are. Like I'm going to make it happen for myself, or I'm going to get involved in something different. But I think on campus experience, whether it's Greek life, student organizations, writing for the Hawk, like so valuable because you get to
Yeah,
meet different people, get different types of skills and things like that.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, the next person is such a big fan. She says hi, and she's been a fan since your blowout days. What is one memory you miss about St. Joe's that you wish you could go back to?
Oh my God, so many. Like,
College.
yeah, probably just like living in a house with all of my best friends. Like that was an experience that I'll remember forever. And like nothing compares. Like it's just so fun. But also after college, life just gets better every year. So don't worry.
Yeah. No, that's a perfect part of college. And I think when you first graduate, you're like, wait, I'm not going to move back in with like all of my
Yeah,
friends
you're
and
like,
do
what?
this. And you're like, no, I don't want to go into the real world, but it does get better as you figure it out and learn how to adult and do all of those things.
Exactly.
Do you have like a breakthrough moment that you think about when you kind of made that transition for your content creation? Like, is there one moment that you're like, that was that felt like it was it for me. Like that really transitioned me, and how you might have leveraged that moment to continue your growth.
I don't know if there was like one specific moment, but I just feel like when I started to like show my followers like my real personality and not just like doing like little like videos with music and like stuff like that, like I really opened up to like show my actual self. And like I think that took probably like 2 years to do. But yeah, just like once you just really show like your personality and like your life without showing too much, because like there needs to be like a little bit of both. But yeah, I think that's when I saw the most success, was when I just really was like being myself in my
Yeah.
content, and it showed.
Yeah. And that's probably such a good feeling. Like I'm just being me
Yeah,
and people are loving it.
exactly.
um, how was your transition moving to New York City? So you obviously went to school here,
Hmm.
probably was in Philly a little bit, and then transitioning to New York.
I started my job like literally 5 days after graduation. And so I moved home to Jersey and like commuted and took the bus into the city every day. And I feel like that was kind of like a drag, because not only are you like leaving fun college days, but then now you're like commuting every day and you're like living at home. But I feel like, again, like once you get into the groove, and like I got an apartment with my sister and like a few months after that, and then like you're like, oh, okay, like this is the real world, and like it can be fun. It's just different. And like, yeah, there can be weird transition times where you're like spending 4 hours out of your day commuting, but that's not forever if you don't want it to be. And yeah.
Yeah. And do you have advice for people who want to move to New York? Because it's like a different place than Philly. Like it's a
Yeah.
different environment. A lot of things are different. So for students who are like, I want to move to New York after graduation.
I think I like, just with anything, like it's a risk and it's a change and it's different, but like if you hate it after you give it a chance, like you can go back. And like nothing's permanent in life. But if you've been wanting to do it, then like what is holding you back? Only yourself. So like, talk to yourself differently and give yourself the confidence that you have and deserve to just like take that next step and like try something new.
Yeah, that's great
And
advice.
surrounding yourself with good people is really helpful too. So
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so the last question I'll have us end on, because I think it's a good way to end, is just kind of about your future. Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you have like a plan? Are you like rolling with the punches as content creation evolves? Like, what do you think about for your future?
so my sister also, I have a twin. She went to St. Joe's as well. And like she is a content creator as well now. And like I think that her and I really want to do something bigger and like together, whether it be like start a brand or something along those lines. And it takes time, but I think that the longevity there is like really really big, to like have your own brand that you work on every day. And like we have this unique opportunity where we already have like our clientele basically laid out for us, which are our followers. And so yeah, I think we would love to turn that into a brand of some sort in like the next few years.
Oh, cool.
And I'll
I'm
also be with
excited.
my hawk mate, because me and my boyfriend met at St. Joe's.
Oh, perfect. So cute. Well, fingers crossed, best of luck to you and your sister on that endeavor. And just as you continue to make content and grow, you know, we wish you the best of luck. And we really appreciate your time today. So I just want to say thank you for joining us today and providing such great insight into, your career and your background. We're very grateful that, you took the time to chat, and I'm sure everyone who's watching is echoing what I'm saying as well. And we certainly hope to see you back on Hawk Hill soon for a visit. um,
Yeah,
and
thank you so much for having me.
of course. And just as a reminder for everyone listening, We have these sessions going on all week, so make sure to check your email and join any sessions you are interested in. Bridget, thank you so much again. It was great to meet you.
Thank you
And I
guys.
hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.